Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Beyond Enough podcast. I'm your host, Amy Irons, and today I am back with another incredible woman. Now, this woman is actually my bestie, so be prepared for a very unhinged conversation, I'm sure. And a big welcome to Kirsty, aka Kitty Kayn.
Hello, hello, hello. Honestly, I am buzzing to be here with you today.
Me too.
Again.
I'm so glad that I got you back on the podcast. So, you did do the summer summit with us last year. Absolutely incredible. But I'm so glad to have you here so that we can really dive into some of those stories behind you and the House of Alpha, which is Kirsty's business, and some of the magic that she's going to teach you today, really about so many things, but money, mindset specifically, which I always think you are just so incredible at, not just implementing and embodying in your own life, but also at teaching and coaching. And everything that you're going to be launching this year, because I think it's really exciting and I think it's something that it's knowledge that every woman should have, in my opinion. So, first of all, I guess, give us a little quick introduction for those who have not come across you before.
Okay, so I'm gonna make sure that I don't get too excited about this because I have so much to say. And I'm like, compose yourself. We don't need to hear it all in 30 seconds. So I am Kirsty Kayn, as you mentioned, aka Bestie Kayn. I am the founder of the House of Alpha, it has been nicknamed by my wonderful clients as the energetic home for visionary women. And this is more than a coaching business. This is very much a place where women who crave more, who have that deep desire to create impact within the world, who want to create waves of wealth, not just for themselves, but for their people, right? They really want to step up and absolutely transform their lives. And again, it doesn't stop with them, it ripples into the people around about them as well. These women come into the House of Alpha, and what we do is we don't build the businesses there, we build the women behind the business because every single one of these women are coming to me having already created success in their business. They've already made sales, they've already signed clients, they already know what it is that they're doing, but they're hitting that upper limit at some point. They are showing up in the world saying, you know what, I've created all of this, but I've created it from survival. And I don't want to keep going in survival anymore. These are the women that come into the House of Alpha with very, very deep rooted identity work that we can be doing, a lot of shadows around a lot of things, specifically receiving self-worth, money, all of that sort of stuff. And for me, it's just that moment of saying to these women, you know, come inside, take off your warrior boots, put down your shield, put on your silky pajamas and get comfy, like you're safe here. You know, we've got you. Welcome to the world with all of your House of Alpha sisters around you. And it doesn't even matter what offer these ladies come into, they're held in that same way, to that same standard. And it is something that for me has been birthed out of me being in survival for so long, making a shit ton of money. I can swear on here, right?
Yeah, sure. It's me.
Um, sorry to say, just double checking. Um, Making a shit ton of money from survival, vaulting into survival. Because when you think, you know what, I want to make more money or I want to have a nice cash injection to life or business, whatever, to actually accidentally manifest the situations that then put you back into survival. But we're breaking those chains and creating that change because survival doesn't serve us. It's maybe showing us what's possible, but the work we do in the House of Alpha is to build the women who then can outgrow survival and move into their strength and power and still make a shit ton of money and then some more. So that's me and my work, and I love it.
I love it too. I'm obsessed, as you well know.
I know.
And I feel like we could have you have so many areas of expertise genuinely, from money to identity work to just the sheer extent of business knowledge that you have. And I think even I forget sometimes the extent and the expertise you have in so many different businesses and so many areas of business. We were talking about UCG content. So you
Mm.
do that right through to, really high level one-to-one coaching. And I think you've got such a plethora of expertise. But for me, that piece of work that I think you do so incredibly well is that identity shifting? Is that
Yeah.
increasing a woman's capacity and her belief that she can have more? And also the incredible work you do around money, energetically,
Yeah.
mindset, all the things. And I wonder for you, what parts of your journey, what parts of your story do you think led you to, I guess we always teach what we needed to learn, right?
Yeah.
Were those moments for you that you thought, oh my gosh, wait a minute, like this is a thing. It's not just a me thing, but it's like
Yeah.
all women or a lot of women struggle with.
Yeah. I'm going to take you back to when I was 5, right? And I remember saying to my mum, the ice cream van is coming. Hear the music, right? Summertime, all the kids in the street, like 90s, right? We're talking about what, 92, 93 at this point, right? All the kids out in the street, ice cream van coming. I asked my mum if I could get an ice cream, and she said, no, I don't have any money for you. And I watched all the other kids. It actually gives me goosebumps thinking about it. I watched all the other kids go and line up at the ice cream van and come away with their sweets and their pick and mix and their ice creams. And I sat on my doorstep just watching them, thinking, I want that. I really want that. And I was told no. And I had that little bit of almost not these exact words as a kid, but almost fuck you. I want to go to the ice cream van. So the following day, I started to notice that this ice cream van was constantly coming every day, every day. Stayed in a big neighborhood with a lot of kids, and it was the summer holidays. So the following day, I decided to learn how to put a ladder up. I put a ladder up into my loft, and I climbed my tiny little body up that ladder, pulled myself into this loft. I'm terrified of spiders, and I know there were spiders up there. And I'm like, I'm facing all of these fears. I'm going out of my comfort zone. I'm breaking the rules because if my mum had found out that I was doing that, she wouldn't be very happy, right? Or my dad. And I pulled all of my old toys out of the loft. I went and took my dad's car keys, opened his car, which is like, you don't do that. You're 5, right? Don't do these things. And I took a blanket, a travel blanket out the back of the car, and I set up that blanket on the pavement. And I sat there and sold all of my old toys. I had an empty, I'd actually emptied out a Nescafe jar. My mum would have been pissed. I was just like, we don't need all these coffee granules straight in the bin. Let's take this Nescafe jar. And I still actually remember the smell of this jar, right? I'd rinsed it out and I still remember that smell of coffee, but also the smell of money, of people's coins going in and sitting in the liquid that was in the bottom of this jar, because obviously I just rinsed it out. And that to me was, you can go to the ice cream van tomorrow and the next day and the next day. You don't need to ask anybody permission for you to tap into what you desire. And if you want something, fucking go get it. Even if it feels hard, even if it feels scary, even if your body is like, I don't really know about this. What will this person say? You might get in trouble. Not saying do anything that you're not meant to be doing, but if you can bend a couple of rules, fine. You know, we're not here to conform to what our parents say this is how things should be. And I remember getting the biggest ice cream at the ice cream van that following day, and I was so unbelievably proud of the fact that I had this ice cream van. I had this ice cream, and I'd been at that ice cream van, and I'd done it myself. I hadn't even asked my mum. You know, I was sitting there, still had money to go again the next day, and that for me was confirmation that if you want it, you can have it. And yeah, it might mean that you have to go out and figure it out yourself, but when you find some place like the House of Alpha, you're not by yourself anymore.
You built it, right? Like, I love that. And I think it's so you. Like, knowing you now, that's so you to just be so in your power and choose your own way forward and your own way to solve the problem, right? The problem being, right, there's no money for ice cream. And that's so you, in my opinion, to find,
Yeah,
to figure out a way, a new path, a new solution to get what you want. And I think it's interesting to me because, as you know, I was very much a people pleaser. I was very much a good girl. Like I went and broke the rules. And actually, funnily enough, I went out for a few drinks last Saturday night. I don't know when you guys will be listening and watching to this, but
drug me.
I drunk text Kitty Kane and sent her a picture of my outfit. And when my mum saw me, now I wasn't like naked. I would just want to confirm this. I was wearing,
If you send me naked pictures, they will be well received as well. We're all good. I don't mind.
but I was wearing this black lacy top and a long pencil skirt, right?
hmm
And my mum saw me and went, "Oh my God, Amy, you're not going out like that." And that's very much like she is very much that good girl conditioning. Like
Yeah.
you, you just do not go out like that. You're never immodest or rude or anything that could be construed by anyone else as you not being a good person or a good girl. And I still sometimes laugh and think, gosh, it took me so many years to get over that, right?
Yeah.
But you're one of the first women probably who ever said to me, like, why do you care? Like, why are you letting someone else decide what you wear? Why are you letting someone else decide what you say? And for me, that was a huge revelation that actually I did not need to go along that same path that everyone else was going along. And by that point, I'd already started to peel away, shall we say, from the normal way of doing things. But your voice was so important in that. And I guess from your perspective, from that 5 year old who's like, yeah, I'm going to make my money on the street, I'm going to sell my old toys. What do you think has been those qualities that you have that have really served you really well in entrepreneurship? Because I think I always want to help other women really understand like it's not necessarily what you've been thrown by business coaches on Instagram or anything. Like we all have our own path, but what are those qualities do you really encourage your clients or help your clients develop to really help them, whatever their mission, we know whether it's business or career
Yeah.
or
I would say the number one thing is to be your own permission slip. That for me has been massive. And it's funny when I think about it, I have a good relationship with my mum, but she's not emotionally available to me. And that was a huge realization that I had recently. And because of that, I have spent the majority of my life in survival. Up until, to be completely honest, probably the last few years, going from trauma to trauma, from childhood abuse, moving into the death of my dad at 10, going to my mum for help and having her rip up a leaflet from the school about grief counselling for teens, saying to me, I don't want to talk about this again. And I was almost crying out for help to be like, I'm stuck and I'm struggling and I need somebody until I was basically informed you don't have that person. So you need to figure this out on your own. And I thought, you know what, I could either try and figure it out on my own and let myself fuck up, or I could try and it out on my own and actually let myself win.
yeah.
And you know what? It's a lifelong process. It's not something that's ever done. When you work on your mindset, when you work with your frequency, when you work on challenging every single limiting thought that's coming up for you, that work does not have an end point. And as soon as you give yourself permission to go on that journey, you're going to be fine. It's not easy, don't get me wrong. And it highlights a lot of things that you maybe don't want to feel around people. Like I know when I have a problem, I go to those closest to me, and you know what? That's not my mum, and that's okay. It's about giving myself permission to not need my mum in that way. You know, at times it can be lonely, but do the work to turn loneliness into independence and know that that's not hyper independence as a defense mechanism. That's independence that you can evolve into leadership. Completely different kettle of fish there. So it's really just about saying, this is me, this is what I've been through, this is what I'm moving through. Let me pull all of the strands of this together to build the thing that's going to get me where I want to be. To give yourself permission to sometimes go down the wrong path, sometimes hit a dead
Yeah.
end, sometimes have to course correct and get back into where you want to be, to understand that you are on a journey and it's not going to end. But that's the fucking brilliance of it. That's my favorite thing with entrepreneurship. There's no end date. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm so obsessed. I used to laugh when people are like, fall in love with the journey. But that is so true.
Yeah.
It's the journey that, like, that's the fucking fun part.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
So
think it
yeah,
gets to be the fun part though. You're so right. And I think sometimes we forget that no matter where you are in your entrepreneurship journey or wherever you are in life, right? Like whatever it is, like whether you're a new mama or you're starting a business or you want to reinvent the business and you're kind of scared, this is your life. This is your life. Like enjoy the process of it as much as you can and understand that the challenges are growing you into the person that can hold more. Yeah.
100%. And I think as well, so many people say, well, I'm going to build this thing. And then when it becomes successful, I'm going to reap the rewards. Right. And that's fine. But that's going into it with such a closed mindset. How about you start on this journey of building something epic and make that actual journey the best part of your life?
Yeah.
Take the rewards as you go. Surround yourself with people that you love and that make you cry laughing. You know, go on these adventures, have these experiences, make this journey not one of hustle and grind and doing more and constantly going, going, going. So you get to what, 10 years down the line, 2 years, 50 years, whatever. And then say, you know what, well, I'm here now. Now I can relax. Now I can enjoy what I've built. Now I can take some time off. Why not just build a business that serves your life? Do you know what I mean? Like it's very, in my world, it's very life first. We touch business every single day, bar weekends if we want. If we don't, who cares? But the business still moves and grows and is scaling, but we're also living life as well and having a damn good time at the same time. You know, that's the beauty of it in my eyes.
Yes. Yes, yes. I love it though, because I think it's it is so exhausting, I think, whether you are employed 9 to 5 or whether you're an entrepreneur. But I think when you start to intentionally grow a business, you start to create something very different. And I think for most of us that have entered entrepreneurship, certainly during COVID and post-COVID, we are searching for that freedom. But if your business never feels like that, if it never feels like that freedom, and don't get me wrong, there's going to be times where it's a bit hustle and a bit push. There are seasons. But if it always feels like that, you will never ever grow it because you were trying to escape that. And so if your
Yeah.
business always feels that way, subconsciously you're like, well, I don't want that. So you're never going to continue to push it, to drive it, to grow it, to increase your impact because it's the opposite of what you wanted, what you promised yourself it would be.
It's funny because I have such a different view on freedom as well than I think a lot of people. So a lot of people have gone into entrepreneurship, not everyone, but a lot of people coming from a 9 to 5 or some form of employment saying, I want to venture out on my own, do X, Y, Z. I've never been employed. I have always, I don't know if you know this or not. Maybe you don't.
I didn't know that you'd never been employed. I know you've done so much, but I didn't know that
Yeah,
you
I
actually.
have never been employed. I've had Saturday jobs when I was like a teenager, but if we're talking like actual employment, I have never been employed. I have always been in business in some capacity.
Hmm.
You know, going from finishing high school to then moving straight into college. I done my beauty therapy diploma at college, and when I was doing that, I wanted to practice in the holidays because I'm like, well, I want to be really good at what I do. I don't want to just be average. I want to be really good. Let me really zone in on my expertise. And I'm like, right, how do we do this? Let's print off loads of leaflets, go to the wealthiest house in the state in my town. I still stay in the same town. I actually stay just around the corner from this house and estate now. I'd done this huge big leaflet drop around the whole place, and I left my phone at home. When I got home, I already had messages from people asking to book in for their waxing or their facials or whatever. And I was fully booked from the October holidays. I started at college in the August. By the October, I was fully booked in the holidays. I'm like, I don't need a job. I've just built a business in 2 weeks. And I was out and I was saying to everyone, look, I've just started college, I'm just practicing. And I wasn't sure, thankfully. But they were like, yeah, it's fine. As long as you don't wax my eyebrows off my face, we're all good. That only ever happened once, and that wasn't when I was mobile. I know. That was actually years later. But I went from that. It wasn't their whole eyebrow either, just a little bit. I went from that, I told you, I need to not be as unhinged today.
But though I'm going to encourage it, you know that.
I know you're such a bad influence, and I love you for it. But yes, I was at college for a couple of years, and then every set of holidays, I was just booking up with clients to the point where I finished my 2 years of college and walked straight into being a mobile beauty therapist.
Yeah.
I was like that for a year. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm spending more time driving about in my car, going to all these people. I need a base. So I found a hair and beauty salon. Well, it was hair upstairs. They had an old beauty department downstairs that they weren't using. And I said, can I rent the space? So I done that and I got people to come to me. Great. So I was making much more money because I wasn't here, there, and everywhere. Then it got to the point where I'm like, I could run this by myself. I need more space. I want more people working for me. that then moved into me having the salon. And I had that up until I had kids.
Yeah.
So it's really gone from me saying, you know what, here's what I want. I want to be an expert at what I'm doing. I want to be highly financially compensated for doing it. And I want to do things on my terms. You know, it's been like that. I mean, I left college at 18. So
Yes.
it's been like that my whole entire life. There hasn't been employment. And because of that, I couldn't ever go back to employment. I would never want to. And I would never, not even back, but into employment. I'm unemployable, completely unemployable at this point because I'm so used to doing things my way. So when it comes to tapping into freedom, I'm like, freedom to me looks so expansive because I've always had a certain amount of freedom. I've always
Yeah.
been able to do what I want, you know? And I think it's almost like when I think about freedom, I almost question, do you have a warped sense of freedom because it's so expansive?
Hmm.
I'm like, I know a lot of people don't look at it that way, as big as that, you know? But that's just my brain. I'm a very deep thinker. I do look at things slightly different.
But we love that. We love that about you. I agree. I think it's so interesting when it's so important as well, I think, to go into concepts and words. And we talk about the importance of words all the time. But someone's idea, belief, knowledge around freedom, their concept around freedom can be totally different from someone else's.
Yeah.
And again, what are you comparing yourself to? Like, what are you actually comparing yourselves to? Because if you're comparing your life to someone's 1% on Instagram, you're never achieving that because it's not real. And I think when
Mhm.
we look at what's right for us and what freedom means to us, I mean, for certainly for me, it's just more time around the kids. Like, honestly understand how I would even manage holidays, even just
Even just day to day.
day to
When you're not
day,
with kids, it's a lot.
right? Because at the end of the day, like I have to drop them off, I have to pick them up. And yeah, you've got a day in between that, but it's not
It's
as long
not
as you think it is. It's
it's
really not.
it's not. And especially when you're on your own with the kids, which I am, which you are as well. As
Yeah.
much as I have a very handsome man in my life who's been around here for almost 7 years now, but we live separate, we parent our own kids completely differently. I am very much an independent mum to my girls, and I always will be, and I always look at that with a lot of pride. But that means every school drop off, every school pick up, every netball class, dance class, gym session, everything with the kids, taking them there is me bringing them home. And for some people, they may think, oh, well, you've got all day to work. But really, do you from what, maybe 9:15 to 3:45? And that's if you don't move from when you drop them off.
I
Never
know.
mind getting home. Never mind, let me do the food shopping before the kids come home because it's stressful taking them with me. Let me get the house in order so they're coming home. They've actually got fresh bedding, they've got fresh clothes, all of this. It's a lot.
It's a
It's a
lot. Girl, it's a lot. And I think I don't know how people with a 9 to 5 do that because, well,
lot.
again, I've been self-employed for so many years now that I do think that I have my own habits and routines, right? And I have a very different structure to a lot of people. And if you have a 9 to 5, and when I did have a 9 to 5 and was building a business and still had kids, I had very different routines and things. But I look at that now and I'm like, I could never, I could never do that now. I just could, girl, I couldn't.
It's a lot. It is a hell of a lot. And to be honest, I don't know how people do it. And I can't even relate that back to when I was in that situation because I never was.
Pure survival though, and this is what we were talking about, right? Like you can get so much done in survival. We're not denying that.
100%.
It's true. I've spent so much, same as you, spent so much of my life in survival, and I actually thought I was good, and then last year showed me that I was not. And that was like a whole thing. I spoke about this. But what does it look like on the other side? And I think you've got something coming up, right? That's very much based around this. And it's very much moving from fuck you money, which is what you were talking about with your story earlier, and into a very different concept, fuck yes money. And so I'd love you to talk to that a little bit because I think it's the shift in mindset around what money can mean for women is so important. And I'd love to have you back on the podcast, even just to discuss money mindset for women. And because I think women in wealth is just it's
It's
just
a whole
such a,
thing.
yeah,
It's a whole thing. And I personally am obsessed with it. So the more I get to talk about that, the better my life is because it's just one of my favorite things. But what I have found is so many women, right, will go through life, will go through these tough situations. we're maybe put in situations where we don't speak up and vocalize and say, I'm uncomfortable, or this doesn't feel good, or I don't feel safe in this situation, whatever it is, at whatever age, right? And it gets to the point where we say, you know what, fuck you. Fuck you, I'll do it myself. How many times have you taken the rubbish out? I actually did this the other day with Michael. He's like, I said to him, can you take the rubbish out? I'll do it in a minute. 10 minutes later, can you take the rubbish out? I'm cleaning the kitchen. I'll do it in a minute. I'm like, you know what? I'll take the rubbish out. I'll do it myself. And it's that whole, although that's a very like fickle example, right? But it's the whole I'm in survival, going back however long, and I'm building this business and I'll do it myself. I'll create success for me. I've not found people that I can rely on. So let me just go balls to the wall, even when you are sacrificing yourself, right? You're not looking after yourself, you're
Yeah.
burning yourself out, you're overwhelmed, you're exhausted. And it's like one more late night. Okay. Hustle culture is massive for survival. Okay. All of this, you've got your 9 to 5, and then you've got your 7 to 3 or whatever numbers it is, giving you the impression of, well, you work your 9 to 5, you come home, you feed yourself, you feed the kids, and you get back to work again to do your own thing overnight. You need to put in the hours, you need to do this. But it's all about saying, you know what, rather than saying fuck you to everything and moving into that toxic mindset of, let me prove you wrong. Let me prove I'm worth it. Let me prove to you that I can do this. Let me prove that I am actually worthy of creating the success of my business.
Yeah.
And actually doing the work to say, you know what, I deserve this business. I deserve to enjoy what I'm doing. I deserve to make this money. And say, you know what, I'm moving from fuck you to understanding it's not about anybody else. It's about us. And it's about saying fuck yes to ourselves. Like, fuck yes, I'm going to follow my dreams. Fuck yes, I'm going to make a vision board and look at it every single day, and I'm actually going to put in the work to achieve these things. Fuck yes, I'm going to have a bath at 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon because I can do what the fuck I want to do.
Yes.
You know, that's the shift. And within my world, that's where I was going to say the more dominant part of my work is, but probably not. The more dominant part is transmuting that power from pain, really alchemizing that into power. And to be able to say, you know what, you're now building and scaling and growing yourself and your business from the frequency of fuck yes rather than fuck you, because we're not building, we don't want to scale anger and resentment.
No, I agree. And it's again, you do a lot of frequency work, and so do I. And I think there's so much that can be done, as we said, in scarcity, in fear, in that kind of fight or flight. Like I am, my back's against the wall, and I have to get this done. But I think long term, what we're starting to see that it is actually having a really negative impact on women, especially with stress, um, burnout. Like if you want to call it burnouts, I know some people are like, burnout's not a thing. It is a thing. It's your nervous system collapsing because it can't take it anymore. And I think it's really important for us to like be able to take that zoom out and go like, what's actually really good for us long term? Because you can do that for a very limited amount of time if you think about this, the whole span of your life. But who wants to live in that and feel that constant
No.
stress and burnout? It does have an impact on your health. It does have an impact on your family. And there's another way of it doing it, right? Like there is a much more
Yeah.
enjoyable, fun way in the world that we live in now. We have this amazing opportunity, right, to grow a business in the online space, whether you like it or lump it. It is a phenomenal tool for this.
Yeah. And you know what? I think as well, when it comes to survival, I've got a lot of compassion for women who are in that space because you've moved into that space for a reason, more than
Yes.
likely because of really shitty circumstances that you've been dealt, and you're doing your best to handle it on your own. But as soon as you realize, you know what, I don't have to do this on my own. This is what I was
Yes.
saying about turning that loneliness into independence and leadership, right? Rather than hyper independence and saying, you know what, I'm a lone wolf, it's me on this journey myself. There's a lot that can be created from survival. I made loads of money in survival. Did it feel good? Sometimes. You know, when I was able to say, you know what, I bought a new car, you know what, I'm going on this holiday. That was fun, right? I wouldn't like to feel like that in survival long term because it's not fun overall. It's a
No.
much lower frequency situation.
So it's harder work.
100%. Like when people come to me and say, you know what, Kirsty, sales feel hard, making money feels hard. I'm like, right, okay, well, you don't need another strategy. You don't need a new offer. You don't need to burn your business down. Let's actually look at you. Let's look at the stories that you've told yourself for so long. Let's look back at all those shadows that you're trying to pretend aren't there. When right now I'm seeing them and you're maybe not. Let's go back and actually look at that because business shouldn't have to feel hard. You
Mhm.
can run it from your phone, from anywhere in the world, by posting on social media that's free. It's not hard. We make it hard.
We overcomplicate. I literally just had Kaylee Greenacre on the podcast. I'm sure she'll be out for you, her episode for everyone listening. And we had the literal same conversation. We overcomplicate everything. It is not complicated. We are the complicating factor in it. And we're also the beautiful, authentic, magnetic part of the whole piece of the puzzle.
100%. And this is why it's so easy to make good money in survival. Your fire's up, like you've got all this adrenaline that you can really pour into everything else. But people freak out and it's like, okay, I don't want to feel like that anymore. But they're like, well, how do I feel? How do I get to be? I've not been like this for a long time. But when you start to clear away all of that stuff, your nervous system settles, you feel more content than ever. The last couple of years, even more so, to be fair, probably the last 4 months for me, because of some big stuff that's really shifted. But really, the last couple of years, I have come to business with a much different outlook of, you know what, I get to feel good every single day.
Yeah.
Stress doesn't have to be a factor in my life if I don't want it to be. Business gets to feel easy. I get to receive money on a daily basis, whether I'm working in my business or not. And not even just believing these things, but actually having them underpin your entire life. Everything changes. Everything. It's just about getting your mind on your side. That's the important part.
100%. Oh my gosh, it's always such a incredible conversation. I know we could have another hour easily on the podcast, but for everyone listening, Kirsty has a podcast called Life with Kirsty Kayn, and I will link that in the show notes for everyone because we did an episode together for her podcast around the winter arc. And this is where we talk about a lot of things that the two of us do personally as besties because we're toxic as fuck over the winter period to really work on us as women. So if you want to listen to that episode, I will make sure and link it below, and I will link everything for Kirsty as well. And I do think we should have you back just to talk about money mindset specifically. But thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. And I think it's so important that we remember there are so many ways to do business, but the one that feels good is the one that we're going to do enough to see results, right?
100%. At the end of the day, if it doesn't feel good, how long are you going to want to do it?
Yeah.
No, you don't want to. But it's really about being that permission slip for yourself, telling yourself that you deserve it, and really moving into either a space with someone that can help you or a community with people that can help you, and to
Yeah.
really say, you know what, this is it. This is it. I want to be the best version of me that I can be because I know that I can build something massive.
Yes. Yes, we can. Conversation. Thank you to everyone listening. Thank you so much, Kirsty, for being here, and we'll see you in the next one.